Hi, Sierra Frost from Invitation Wellness, doing Naked in Public number 6. And today I feel really extra vulnerable. I think I say that every time. Um, I've been thinking about one thing we talked about in the Fly Life intensive class last night was this idea of soul health and spiritual health, of when are we acting or being from love, and when are we acting or being from fear. And the bigger question I want to ask is, when are we getting those two things confused? When do we think that we're coming from love, but we really aren't, on a deeper level than that? And that doesn't mean that we're bad or being manipulative or evil or cruel or anything like that. It's that we don't know. It's that we're not becoming aware that that's what's happening. So with soul love, that's about us. It's about the individual. And then with spiritual health, it's about what's bigger than us, the collective of the world or energies or the universe or whatever you resonate with. And so I know for me, when I'm coming from love for myself, it's a little bit easier for me because as humans, we all have subjective experiences. And so I know that I can sit and stop and check in with myself and practice knowing what's going on and what I need and what I'm feeling and what I'm thinking in that moment. And I have a really strong mindfulness practice. So I know that I can do that pretty well. And even when I might be choosing to do things from fear for myself, things that are harmful, when I exercise because I think I should look a certain way or because I feel pressure and not because it feels like that's what my body needs, I'm pretty aware that that's coming from a space of fear and not a space of love. But when I'm talking about spiritual health and other people and relationships and communities, I know for me that, and this is the naked in public piece, that I sometimes I think I'm coming from a space of love where I'm like, oh, this is what the relationship needs or what the community needs, or I'm trying to show up in this intentional way. But really, if I look deeper than that, it's a fear of, what if I lose this relationship or this person or this community or this role or this identity on a larger scale, which is not loving anymore. That's coming from fear of believing that maybe if somebody isn't in my life anymore, then I don't have support, or I'm not lovable, or I'm too energetic, or I'm too emotional, or I'm too this and too that and not enough this and not enough that. And then that's a huge shift, because then I'm not able to really be present with the relationship enough to love somebody well and ask the question of, how can I love you better today? And so I know that in the past, in some of my relationships, that it's become very anxious in those moments when I believe that, especially if it's someone who's very close to us, a family member or a very close friend, I know that I have kind of felt like, oh my gosh, if I lose this person who is so important to me and who I've loved so much, if this person doesn't love me anymore, then obviously nobody else will ever come along and ever love me again for who I am. And then I will spend the rest of my life alone. And this sounds kind of silly, but a lot of people, I know a lot of my clients have that type of experience of feeling alone in the world. And so that's what happens, is then I come into this space, and then instead of saying what is best for the relationship and how am I being loving, it's like this grasping and this holding on to something that I want to look a specific way, instead of being able to allow and accept that maybe love can look a different way for me and for that person. Or maybe love can take a break and come back. Or maybe love needs to move on to something else and make space for another opportunity, which is really fine, and that's really okay. And when we come from a space of love and spiritual health, then we trust that something else that is this or better will come along. So what happens, what that looks like, is I forget that I can take care of myself. I forget that I am responsible and that I'm strong and that I have a lot of skills and a lot of ideas for taking care of myself. And when I do that unintentionally, it puts a lot of pressure or responsibility on the other person, that I need them to show up to support me, or I need them to be there to remind me of what I can do or hold me accountable for my own feelings or my own experiences. And when that pressure is put on another person, it's very repelling. It's very repelling to be needed. It's very attractive to say, I will take care of me so that you don't have to, and I will ask for help when I need it. And if you're not available, I have many ways of getting that help. And I would like to be present with you and support you in your life when that works out, when I have time, when I have energy, when I have space. And this is the same for friendship, for business, for community groups, book clubs, exercise clubs, meetup groups, romantic relationships, marriages, family dynamics, parents and children. Of course, it would be a little bit different if your kids are small. They have more needs and are more dependent on you. But in general, this is the same thing. If I come from this space of love and trust and remember that I have everything I need within me, and so does the other person, then life is spiritual health is a lot better and increased. And then we're not coming from that space of fear of needing somebody else that really repels them. So that's my question to you today is when are you pretty confident that you're coming from a space of love, and what does that look like to you? When might you be coming from a space of fear? And most importantly, taking a moment to sit with both of your answers for those questions. When might that feel confusing? And I think it feels confusing when we feel agitated. So our head and our heart are not in alignment, and there's an overall feeling of not quite being aligned, or maybe it's a little bit anxious, or maybe it's just a little gut feeling. There's something there, and if we're really present with ourselves, we can feel that there's something off. And so my invitation is to sit with those questions, maybe journal about them, maybe talk about them out loud to yourself or someone else if you want, and see where is that, if there is one, where is that kind of tinge of being out of alignment, and how might we be able to shift when we are coming from fear and we think we're coming from love before we put a lot of responsibility on somebody else that maybe actually belongs to us. See you tomorrow.